Male DNA paternity tests, now available at your local drugstore. Is this true? Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Let's find out. Stay tuned.
Dan Springer. Well, my next guest says that these tests are great for unsuspecting men everywhere and will actually stop women from cashing in on their offspring. Well, surprise, surprise, the man with that view is Marc Rudov, and Lise Will disagrees. Marc, you can't actually believe this.
I absolutely believe it. Women are untruthful, they're unfaithful, and they're unabashedly mercenary.
Now, that's not exactly true for every woman. Of course, Marc Rudov is generalizing, and I don't necessarily believe that every woman is like this. There are women out there that do take advantage of men in many different ways, so, but before I get into it, let's roll a little bit more, shall we?
The gyno-judicial system allows them to commit paternity fraud, and that's exactly what's going on here, as Dan Springer said. You know, they just did a study in New Hampshire. They found 30% of men paying child support were not the biological fathers.
That is incredible. 30% of men raising children. Wow, not the biological father. That is surprisingly despicable. Now, women have this advantage over men because men can't really have babies. So if men can't have babies, they can't really be in the same position. So this really is something that's more of a double standard when it comes to men and women, especially when it comes to rights towards children and paternity tests and whatnot. Are men being robbed? Let's find out.
And a recent study in Australia of 6,000 DNA tests showed that 25% of the women were lying. So this is an anti-extortion kit that men need.
Marc, for every woman who is quote-unquote caught by one of these paternity tests, there are about 1,000 guys out there who've cheated on her, or a woman out there. And you know what, Marc? There isn't a test that you can tell whether a guy has been cheating, Marc.
Because that fucking matters. Oh my God. This is not a matter of who's cheating and who's not. It's a matter of basic principles. Does this poor guy that was cheated on have an obligation to raise somebody else's child, to pay child support for that child, to put that child through school, to buy that child that first vehicle, all under the guise of being a decent father? How does this make any sense? Like, you hear the condescending tone in her voice, as if it's like some big surprise. Like, how could you not want to raise somebody else's child and pay child support for other people's children? I don't understand. Like, this is unacceptable in today's society. Completely and utterly unacceptable. Do we need this test? Yeah, a little bit.
Like you can on this. I mean, and look, Marc, historically, paternity tests have been used by women trying to corral guys, into court to say, look, you get this tested because you are the father. And it's the guy saying, oh, no. Unless it's the case of Anna Nicole Smith, who, everybody wanted to get in part of that paternity test, Marc.
Lise, that's a red herring, and it's irrelevant, and you know it. The fact of the matter is the DNA test helps the man because the man wants to know that he's not one of these defrauded guys. And the fact of the matter is women are having, 40% of children are being born out of wedlock today, and they're accusing men left and right. You're the father, you're the father. If women don't know who the father is, that means that they're sluts.
Ooh, yeah. I bet you that burns, doesn't it? When you look at daytime television, like Maury or Jerry Springer and all that stuff, they're always filled with this type of drama. There was this one woman, I recall that, and it was like 16 times. 16 times she'd been on the show and still hasn't found the father. Wow.
The mystery man who could not be here is not Marisol. Joey, you are not the father. Marisol will do anything you want.
Today, Marisol is back for her 16th DNA test. Will she hear, you are the father?
Wow. You brought a fella named Reggie to the show.
Yeah.
You and Reggie have been together.
Yeah.
Why are you so sure that he's Anthony's father?
Because he went to Florida when I was out there, and we were together for a little bit.
I'm Reggie, and I'm the 16th man Marisol has tested on this show. And I'm back because she's claiming yet again that I'm the father of her son, Anthony. I don't know how she can say she's 100% sure that I'm her baby's father. She's a hustler. All she's trying to do is get money out of me. And I ain't no sucker. I know how she gets down. I know there's a possibility that I could be the father. If I am, I'm going to be embarrassed and pissed off. Out of all the guys she slept with, I don't want to end up being the dad. Everybody in America knows who Marisol is, and I don't want to be associated with somebody like that. So after this, if I'm not the father, don't bother me.
So here he is, Reggie. Reggie, come on. Where you want to sit? You want to sit here? You know, you kind of hinted at something. You felt that if you are the father, you would be upset. Why would you be upset?
Because they go by, like, they see her on TV, and I got to explain it to everybody that sees him. I got to explain it. So every time I turn around, it's like, I got to explain. It's embarrassing.
Do you know that little boy? Do you know that little boy?
Not really.
No?
But he's mine. I'll be there for my kid. I take care of mine. So I get mine. You know what I'm saying? I take care of mine. Everybody that know me know how I do.
In the case of 2-year-old Anthony, Reggie, you are the father.
Now, men can be whores. Men can be sluts. I totally agree with that. And there's a lot of men out there that are going around just setting up franchises, like having kids with all these different women. I totally get those type of guys. And I don't want to put every guy into that category either, just like I don't want to put every woman into this category. Very important. But clearly, when there's that many partners involved with one woman, this test is absolutely crucial and needed, especially if you don't want to be duped or defrauded into raising somebody else's child.
And that's what's happening today.
All right. Look, Mark, you ask any unmarried, single, divorced woman who's raising a child or more, and she will tell you that the cost, doctors, dentists, school, everything that comes with a child is way outweighed by anything that a non-custodial parent would chip in. The fact that you think that the women are cashing in on kids is absolutely ridiculous.
That is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I 100% agree that raising a kid costs a lot of money. I 100% agree with that. But how is it morally responsible to put that burden on somebody that is not the biological father? How is that responsible? How is that right? That child has a biological father. Now, that person might be some kind of, deadbeat dad that doesn't come around, or he might be some, guy that doesn't want to work for a living or wants to be on welfare for the rest of his life. That is the choice that you made. You chose to have sex with that fucking loser, and that fucking loser doesn't want to pay you child support. That doesn't give you the right to find some random guy that might have some kind of fucking decent paycheck coming in and force him to pay for your children. There's something seriously fucked up with that. Like America, if you're tolerating this, all right, it's no wonder that this is Babylon the Fallen. It is no fucking wonder.
Single women out there have a hard time just even getting their kids through high school with the hope that maybe a few pennies will come in from dads who are reluctant to pay anything, who have to be dragged into court to take a paternity test, Mark.
So paternity tests are okay when they're court ordered. They're okay then. Just not available to the average person because the jig might be up. And let's talk about the baby factories out there. These are women that have 6 or 7 kids from 6 or 7 different fathers, and they live off the welfare system. They got all this stupid amounts of money coming in from child taxes and child benefits and all that stuff, and they live on the welfare system, and that's just what they do. No consideration for how the child is going to be raised or how they're going to pay for the child. So they rely on the system to do so. That exists too.
In my case, they done been in my life 6 months, and I'm homeless.
37-year-old Angel Adams blames the system for her problems, a system of social service agencies trying to help her. Adams has 15 children, 12 who are now living with her in this small motel room. While we were in the room, the children had no food available, no shoes, and Adams says they haven't had a change of clothes in more than 3 days. We called the Department of Children and Families to see what they've been doing to help. DCF says Hillsborough Kids Incorporated has been helping by paying Adams rent, even providing her furniture. Adams says it isn't enough.
Somebody needs to pay for all my children, and mine and Gary, all our suffering, somebody needs to be held accountable, and they need to pay.
Lisa, I just believe in following the money. 2 names come to mind: Heather Mills and this Lauren Cleary, who was on the talk show the other night, Moment of Truth. Wait a minute.
Red herrings, I'm seeing red herrings.
Not a red herring. Most women act like Heather Mills. I told you this before. It's just a difference of scale. That's the reason. Look, if women thought raising a child was so expensive, then they would just forego all child support. You know, the reason they want to snag men is because they want the child support.
No, that makes
They want the child support.
Mark.
That's why they do it.
No, it's not, Mark. Sorry, buddy. But that's not why every woman does it. I say a lot of things on this channel against women. I totally get that. But I'm also very realistic when it comes to this type of conversation. All right? You cannot put every woman into that category, like Mark. You can't do it. You can't do it. Not every woman falls into that category. I'm a married man, and my wife does not fall into that category. She makes a decent living. She requires nothing from me. She takes no money from me for the child. A lot of times I pay for it anyway because I feel that I am, you know, a decent stepdad anyway. But nevertheless, there are a lot of women out there that are not this money-sucking vacuum that you might claim that most women are. So I will argue with you on that.
If the courts would say, if you're an unwed mother, no welfare, no child support, guess how many women would have babies out of wedlock? 0.
Again, wrong. You're generalizing. Not cool. This is not a way to get people, you know, to side with you. At least not the right people. This is an easy way to get angry MGTOW people to, you know, to side with you. With half the population being women, you can't exactly generalize like that and expect for women to be actually listened to. If you want an audience and actually make a difference in the mentality and the understanding of the, you know, the average woman, you cannot just put them all in the same category.
Oh, Mark, first of all, it takes 2 to make a baby. I don't know, you know, you've probably never been in that position, but it takes 2.
Really? I'm calling whiny vagina on this. Whiny fucking vagina. Whiny vagina. This is the type of woman that if she is being outwitted, if she has no real argument to fight back with, she can't use her brain. Maybe she wasn't breastfed properly or something like that. But for some reason, if you can't defend yourself properly, if you run out of ideas and you run out of like moral, intelligent arguments, let's just go right to the insult. Something that Marc Rudov has not done yet. This is the way to defend men. Maybe with a little less generalizing towards women, but at least he's not attacking her back, which makes him the better person as far as I'm concerned.
And no, and you can. There's no women out there that are going to say they're going to have a baby. We're not talking about. We're not talking about any kind of special alimony for women. We're talking about child support for children that are bred by two people.
Bred by 2 people. Yes. Everybody can agree on that. If those 2 people had a baby, then those 2 people should pay for that baby. Not some guy that fucking just came in, fell in love, and fucking suddenly he's responsible for everything that child does. It makes no fucking sense. This girl is out of her fucking tree.
If unwed mothers would not get any child support, they would not have babies out of wedlock.
You are off the ranch again. I don't know what corral you're living in.
You come from the world of wind chimes and meadows and puppy dogs and sunflowers, but you don't come from the real world, Lise. Women commit paternity fraud all the time. I just read you statistics at the beginning of the segment.
Yeah, keep shaking your head, you fucking idiot.
Those are real statistics,
none of those,
and lots of women are lying about the real fathers. It's really interesting that
none of those stats actually get into a courtroom where you have to have reasonable evidence.
Reasonable evidence? They did polls on it. They did studies on it. Where would we be without statistics? What the fuck is wrong with this bitch?
There's a reason for that, Mark, because they don't belong in a courtroom, these tests.
Okay,
As Ronald Reagan used to say, trust but verify. States should make DNA testing mandatory.
If you're taking paternity tests in a marriage, in a marriage, you've got bigger problems than
Please get the last words. You had the first. Go ahead, Lise.
If you've got issues about paternity tests in a marriage, you've got bigger problems than that paternity test.
You know, it's just like
that's it.
Lise, it's just like a prenup.
Goodbye, Mark.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Mark. Goodbye, Lise.
That's the end of the video. You can imagine how this would spark a lot of controversy in the media. Imagine if every birth, you know, regardless of marriage, regardless of anything that happened between these 2 people, it was mandatory for that child to have a paternity test. Imagine that. There wouldn't be any, you know, paternity fraud anymore. So why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing this? It makes perfect sense. I think that every child, as soon as they're born, should have that paternity test. No questions asked. And, you know, it wouldn't be difficult to do. It is mandatory to take blood tests for the children in the first place as soon as they're born. So as far as availability of blood is concerned, they're doing it anyways. You might as well, you know, make a swab, do something. I think this is perfectly reasonable. If women want child support, you know, for their children, then why not just agree to it, unless you're hiding something? But anyway, that's all I have to say on the matter for now. Like, comment, subscribe. I love your comments. Please keep them coming. I love engaging conversation. No matter how aggressive, it always seems to get interesting. And I love shooting the shit back and forth with you guys, so keep it up. I have a book coming out. Well, it is out. It's called The Book of Neophyte, The Awakening. It's the first part of a 10-part series, bestseller. Check it out at Amazon.com or at chaptersindigo.com. It's available all over the world internationally, so take a look at it. I do have a sequel coming out. It's called The Order of the Golden Dawn. You can read the first chapter in the last part of the first book. So I think it's going to do exceptionally well. But take a look at it, or not, whatever. I don't fucking care. Once again, my name is Stephen Alexander, and thanks a lot for watching, guys, and keep them coming.